Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Dear distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and we sincerely appreciate you taking time to join us today, both at the venue and online by Zoom. My name is Putri Fadila Wirashafia, and on behalf of Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia, it is truly an honor for me to be the master of ceremony for today's event, Philanthropy Learning Forum, the 57th, Embracing Collaboration for Enabling Philanthropy Environment to Elevate a Sustainable Impact. Today we gather in this special event as it is a collaboration between the Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia and Charities Aid Foundation to talk about creating a supportive and empowering environment within our networks. We also want to build shared learning and understanding of the key factors that contribute to a healthy environment where philanthropy sector, other stakeholders, and civil society can flourish. And we would like to sincerely express our gratitude to Charities Aid Foundation and especially our host, Yayasan Bhakti Barito, that has helped accommodate us this event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to start our first agenda, we are pleased to welcome Bapak Gusman Yaya, the Executive Director of Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia, to give opening remarks and officially open today's forum. Bapak Gusman Yaya, may I have your floor, please? Thank you.
I'll borrow your mic.
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore. Izinkan saya sampaikan remarks saya dalam bahasa Inggris karena kesepakatan dengan panitianya katanya saya harus pakai bahasa Inggris hari ini. So I'm asking the permissions of the floor to use bahasa English language to convey this remarks. Okay, very good afternoon. Welcome to the Philanthropy Learning Forum. I'm truly honored today be able to be among the distinguished speakers here, our distinguished board members and the members of Philanthropy Indonesia, as well as the participants in today's event. I welcome Pak Derek Rahill. He is the Director of International Strategies from Charities Aid Foundation. I also welcome our board members. I think we have Pak Trihadi here from Tahia Foundation, which is our Board of Supervisor. We have Bu Suzanty Sitorus will be joining us via online. She is the Vice Chair of the Executive Board. We have Pak Denny Puspahadi, our Treasurer and the members of the Executive Board, and Professor Amelia Fauzia, the Executive Director of Social Trust Funds, UN Sarif Hidayatullah, which is also our Executive Board, as well as Budian Purbasari, Executive Director of Bhakti Barito Foundation, which will be our host today. And of course, our distinguished speakers, Pak Tommy Hendrajati, the President of the Human Initiative, and as well as Pak Irfan Nugraha, the CEO of Rumah Zakat, which will be joining us via online today. First of all, I would like to, on behalf of Philanthropy Indonesia, I would like to thank Bhakti Barito Foundation for hosting our forum today. And also I would like to thank Charities Aid Foundations, especially to Derek, who are willing to spend his time flying into Jakarta, and would like to share the Charities Aid Foundation's experience in today's forum. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think with its vast potential and diverse population, Indonesia presents a unique opportunity for philanthropic endeavors. The country is blessed with abundant resources, natural resources, a rich cultural heritage, and being a fast-growing economy currently in the world. Well, however, it has also faced various social and climate challenges, including poverty, inequality, natural disaster, health, environment, as well as climate change issues. To address these challenges effectively, I think we must foster a culture of collaborations among philanthropists, together with other philanthropists such as government agencies, academics, and the private sectors, because we see that no single entity can solve these complex issues alone. It is through collective actions and collaborations that we can leverage our collective strengths and resources to achieve sustainable impact. By coming here together, pooling our resources, sharing our knowledge and expertise, we can create a powerful force for impactful change. For this to happen, it requires an enabling environment that can support the work of philanthropy. By building institutional capacities, infrastructures, awareness, then trust, supportive policies, as well as developing collaborative spaces are required as expected to support the growth of the philanthropy sector, which create impactful contributions towards the society. And that for that reason is why we are here today. Philanthropy Indonesia, our mission is to improve the numbers and the quality of philanthropy in Indonesia, strengthening the role of civil society for social, humanitarian, environmental development by strengthening the ecosystem of philanthropy as well as promoting collaborations and through collective actions in Indonesia. In today's forum, we will discuss and learn about the context and importance of enabling environment, the challenges and experience from our speakers that will help us build a shared understanding of the common threads that underpin a healthy environment in which will enable the philanthropists, other stakeholders, and civil society collaborate and grow. It is our hope that this forum can enrich us in our journey in building a better philanthropy ecosystem that can support the growth of the philanthropy sector in Indonesia. It is our wish to have this forum success. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Gusman, for your opening remarks. My apology, dear ladies and gentlemen, but before, may I share a few informations regarding today's agenda? So, for offline and online participants, please note that today's activities are being recorded. And for online participants, should you have any questions, please write them in the chat box, as this will be discussed with the panelists during the Q&A session. And also, if the participants here feel like maybe losing some belongings, please reach out to the staffs for assistance. And thank you for your cooperation and attention. We hope we find this program to be fruitful and engaging. So, on to our discussion forum. I would like to have our panelists, Bapak Derek Rahel and Bapak Tommy Hendrayati, and also Ibu Amelia, who will moderate the event and provide the details of our speaker's background, as Ibu Suzanty Sitorus and Bapak Ivan Nugraha will be shown online. Please, dear panelists, to come to the seat that we have prepared for you. Thank you. Welcome, Ibu Suzanty and Bapak Ivan. Can you hear us clearly? All right. Dear participants, we hope we have an interactive and active participants from you. Please, Ibu Amelia. My apology, Ibu Amelia. May I introduce you first to the participants first? So, Ibu Amelia is the Director of Social Trust Fund UIN Asharif Hidayatullah Jakarta, and she is also the member of the Executive Board Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia. Ibu Amelia is a social historian professor with expertise on Islamic philanthropy. She is a lecturer at Faculty of Arts Humanities at Universitas Islam Negeri Syarif Hidayatullah, or as we know as UIN Jakarta, and she is also a visiting fellow at School of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of New South Wales, Canberra. Pleased to meet you, Ibu Amelia. Yes.
Thanks so much, Mbak Putri. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace to all of you. Good evening. It's very dark over there. I'm very happy here to meet you all, and also to involve in. To me, it's very interesting and then crucial discussion on the way forward on the movement of philanthropy in Indonesia. First, the title of our discussion is Embracing Collaboration for Enabling Philanthropy Environment to Elevate a Sustainable Impact. So this is a timely topics, especially for the members of Philanthropy, Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia of our forum. Then I remember millennials will say about collaboration. They say you have two choices, whether to collapse or collapse. So collapse or collapse. I think here, we all here choose the first one, to collapse. That's why we have increasing number of members of Philanthropy Indonesia organization. So first I will introduce 4 speakers with me here too, and online there are 2. I'm very excited to listen to them. So I'll first introduce the speakers first. So we have 4 speakers, Derek Rahil, Director of International Strategy and Corporate Relation, from Charities Aid Foundation. And then the second one, Ibu Suzanty Sitorus, over there. Bu Santi, yes. She is Vice Chair of the Executive Board of Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia. So I think all of us know her well. And then the third one is Bapak Tommy Hendrajati. I used to call him Mas Tom. Mas Tom, President of Human Initiative. And the last one, Bapak Irfan Nugraha. So Pak Irfan is online there. Chief Executive Officer of Rumah Zakat. Yeah. So we have 4 distinguished speakers, and we will talk about how to embrace collaboration for enabling philanthropy environment, of course, to elevate sustainable impact. Before I am asking Derek to start with, previously we just started a conversation with Derek asking about the environment of philanthropy in Indonesia. So we all agree, I think, during the 2 decades, starting from the reformation era in 1998, we have been experiencing a massive transformation on philanthropy in Indonesia, especially due to change of political reform, and of course many others. So we have been changed from, let's say, traditional way of giving into more modern way of philanthropy. And then the best thing is not only for short-term giving or short-term program, we have been moved into long-term programmatic perspective and then way. This is, I think, the massive change in our philanthropy in Indonesia. And of course, there are so many enabling sector, enabling environment for that. Legal or laws, tax incentive, support from the government, and many others. So we are trying today to find out enabling philanthropy environment for our sector, and we try to how we do collaborate to engage more to elevate the sustainable impact. So we are very happy that we have Derek right here, Director of International Strategy, Charities Aid Foundation. Derek is Director of International Strategy and Corporate Service. His career began in White House internship program in Washington, D.C., and then becoming work a lot in variety of nonprofit and government roles. And then experiencing also in a number of programs such as at BBC Worldwide, etc. And more recently, Derek spent 7 years as an executive director at London First, and then also now a trustee at Police Care UK. So I think Derek will be very good to tell us, to give us some clue on our big question related to the enabling philanthropy environment. Of course, Derek is from Charity Aid Foundation. I told him it's one of the most famous foundation in Indonesia. So everyone like, wow, what's the name of institution to say that Indonesia is in the first rank of survey, one of the most generous country in the world. Of course, we know Indonesia has been quite well doing moving in the philanthropy sector, but of course we have some challenge also facing us. That's why we will talk today not only on we talk today also on challenge. So Derek will speak about 12 to 15 minutes about the enabling the environment for philanthropy through international incentive, and how cross-border giving within the context of the localization agenda can further increase the sustainable development. So I will give time for you, Derek, to start with. Please.
Thank you very much. Do I need to turn this on? Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone online. It's lovely to see you. Do we have my presentation? Okay. If we could get it up, that's fantastic. Thank you. So just a little bit about me. Thank you very much for the helpful introduction, Amelia. I am going to speak today just around a few topics that I think are pretty helpful in terms of us beginning the collaboration. So we are really looking forward to collaborating more with Philanthropy Indonesia in the future. And one of the ways I thought it would be helpful for me to do that today was to just speak a little bit more about the history of the Charities Aid Foundation itself, how we have tried to create an enabling environment in the UK, including tax and tax incentives, what we know about giving in the UK now, and then talking a little bit about international need. So I will say that there are quite a few slides for me to get through. So Amelia, I hope I do stick to your timings, but if I don't, you have my permission to just kind of, urge me along anyway. If we could just go to the first slide, please. So the Charities Aid Foundation, our mission, oh wow, thank you, that's great. If I could have the next slide, please, when you get a chance, that'd be brilliant. So that's roughly what I'm going to speak about today. But if we don't have time to dive into any of the detail, then, about any of these topics, then please do feel free to contact me directly, and I'll make sure that I answer your questions, or one of my colleagues who's expert in them does for me. Next slide, please. So the Charities Aid Foundation, our mission is to accelerate progress in society towards a fair and sustainable future for all. And what that means in practice is we do two main things. We help donors give, and we believe it is our job to to make sure that the gift you give to charity, whether it's £10 or £10,000, has as much chance of being effective, of delivering what you would like it to, and of making you feel that you've given an appropriate gift to a charity of your choice. The other thing that we do is we help charities thrive. And we do this by offering a range of services and advice to not-for-profit organizations in the United Kingdom to help ensure they are sustainable and growing in the way they wish to. As part of this, we do run a commercial bank, which is designed specifically to meet the needs of charitable organizations. Just to be clear on that point, it's not a development bank, it is a commercial bank. So, and its customers are charitable entities who, through CAF Bank, have a range of services that are designed more for their needs than perhaps you would get if you went to a commercial banking institution of a different type. Next slide, please. We were begun in 1924 as a government initiative, as a government campaign, if you will, to encourage more giving. And I know I am honored to be in what we believe to be the most generous country in the world. It's an honor to be here in Indonesia. Thank you very much. But let me just say, it took us 99 years. And if I've learned one phrase from my brief time in Indonesia this time and my previous research, is that you believe in the concept of leapfrog. And I have absolutely no doubt that you will leapfrog much further in the next few years than has taken us 99. So I'm looking forward to collaborating with you and to hearing all about that. What I will say, just briefly, is that, and I often share this with people, if you want to ask us any question, please feel free. Over 99 years, there's almost nothing we haven't tried. And as a result, you can learn from what we've done well and what we wish we hadn't even tried at all. So feel free to come to me anytime. What I guess is a little bit important about the context of today is that up until 1992, we were very focused on UK giving and the UK market, and we remain very committed to it. But it's really in 1992 that we decided to encourage cross-border giving by establishing CAF America as part of CAF Group, specifically to encourage American donors to give directly to not-for-profits in another country. And that is really a tipping point in our journey. As many of you will know, CAF America is the leading provider of cross-border donations from the United States, and has a range of services they offer to help donors of all types deliver meaningful, impactful, and most importantly, regulatorily compliant donations directly to a foreign not-for-profit organization. And then if we fast forward to today, what I would just say, is that in 2008, the United Kingdom was hit by the credit crunch. As I'm sure you're all aware, we are a global financial hub. So our credit crunch hit us particularly hard, both in terms of the financial situation, but also in terms, if you will, of our national identity and pride. Many banks in the UK became heavily owned by foreign entities or bailed out by the government, which, as recently as the year before would have been thought unthinkable in the Britain of the 1990s, 1980s, and years 2000. So we've confronted these sort of headwinds that affect national identity as well in Britain. And the third sector, as we call it, the not-for-profit sector, as it's most commonly referred to around the world, or civil society organizations, have continued to thrive. And from the time of the credit crunch to today, civil society organizations have helped fix problems that government no longer had the money to help solve or needed local expertise and community involvement to solve. And that remains one of the great sort of successes, if you will, of modern British philanthropy. Next slide, please. So just really quickly about the regulatory environment in the UK and the US. And I'll speak specifically about the UK because one of the characteristics of the UK system is that there is a government endorsed entity called the Charities Commission that reviews and licenses charities, and also enforces non-charitable activity. Now, that is independent of political influence because it's a non-ministerial department. There is no minister in charge of the Charities Commission. It is, however, a part of government in one sense. And when I know that, Philanthropy Indonesia is thinking about making some recommendations about, perhaps improvements or enhancements or a modernization of the sector in Indonesia. And I think the independent regulatory model works very well for the United Kingdom. And although, it has its ups and downs, it keeps it at arm's length from the ministerial appointments of the day and helps to build trust in the charitable sector amongst even some very skeptical audiences. I won't go into any more detail in that slide, but I will, absolutely encourage Philanthropy Indonesia to share the slides with you afterwards. Next slide, please. So we've been into the Charity Commission in some detail. They do everything from effectively certify or license charities right through to enforcing non-charitable activities when they arise. And essentially, the criteria they have are very broad, and they're outside themes and specific issues. They are literally saying this organization is a genuine not-for-profit. And that certification gives a lot of confidence to people who are wishing to donate, to governmental agencies that may be looking for a partner to deliver programs, and to a range of other very important stakeholders. Next slide, please. But of course, what really helps with people being generous is offering suitable and competitive and reasonable tax incentives. And in the UK, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is a relatively simple system of incentivizing through tax deductibility, through tax incentives of one kind or another. And I would just say, very quickly, that slide's worth further examination, but essentially, donations are subject to 100% income tax relief. But on top of that, there's what we call gift aid, which is literally aiding your gift. And it's a calculation based on an estimation of all the tax that would have been collected, or that may have been collected inappropriately because the activities were charitable. And it's 25%. So let me just make sure if we go to the next slide, what you'll see there, just sort of halfway down, is that if you are a 45% taxpayer in the UK and you give a £100,000 donation, that is rounded up by 25%. That's the gift aid element. So the charity may claim a further 25% on that donation for the government based on the calculation of taxes, one kind or another, that should not have been collected because their activities are charitable. And then because of the nature of the tax band that the individual's in, they pay more than basic tax, they pay 45% tax. Then they can also claim back for effectively themselves £31,250. That means the actual amount of money they've donated that they could have spent elsewhere is £68,750, but the charity receives almost double that. Now, I'm not saying it's the perfect system, and I'm not saying, there's not improvements that we can make. We can make huge improvements. And there is a calculation that a lot of gift aid is not claimed by charities. But this system did mean that just in terms of gift aid, over £1 billion is collected by charities in the UK that is gift aid money. So if you think about the overall impact, it's quite significant, and it incentivizes people to give. It also incentivizes charities to record their donors. Because to claim gift aid, all you need is a record of the person who gave you the donation and where they live. And then the government verifies that they are a taxpayer in the UK. That's what the gift aid, yeah. And I just thought I'd mention it now because, when I was speaking to Guzman earlier, etc., he mentioned that you're recommending very specific legislative initiatives. And maybe not exactly this one, depending on your tax system, but there's no doubt that the beauty of the gift aid system is that it's simple. If you're and it allows everybody to be more generous in terms of how much money goes to charity. So this example here is for someone who's obviously pretty wealthy and making quite a bit of money. But the truth is, if I give £20, or if I give £10, £10 becomes £12.50 to the charity. £100 becomes £125 to the charity. So that's a very powerful incentive, and it makes the process of giving more rewarding for everybody involved. Next slide, please. So I wanted to share with you the state of giving in the UK. One of the things we do, which is very similar to the report that Philanthropy Indonesia produced, is we look at the UK giving landscape. And what we know in the UK is that the overall amount of donations has increased, but the individual number of people that have donated to charity has decreased a little bit. And we believe the main reason for that is what we have called the cost of living crisis. With inflation at 11% in the United Kingdom, which is its highest for many decades, household income is being squeezed and people are unable to prioritize charitable giving in the way they would like to. There are some other interesting facts, which I'm very happy to share the full report, by the way, and it's also available online. But one of the interesting characteristics is that we estimate 12.7 billion pounds sterling, or 16 billion in US dollars, was given to charity in the UK, which makes us feel, like we're making a significant contribution as a sector and as donors in the UK. But the latest GDP figure, according to our Office of National Statistics, is 3,132 billion US dollars. So those donations are still, a relatively small percentage of our national income. The average gift was £60. And of course, average, as I'm sure statisticians will tell you, is a bit misleading because you have very sizable grants that then pull up the overall average figure. So in terms of the median grant, the most frequently given sum in the United Kingdom, it's £20. And what I think that tells us is it is very important that anything you do to incentivize giving to charity or to not-for-profit organizations or to civil society organizations has two components to it. It's relatively simple, but especially important, it applies to people who aren't able to give that much. The beauty of the gift aid system is that even if you can only give £1, it turns into £1.25 for the charity. And that is just a very, very powerful element that encourages giving and rewards giving. Now, of course, if you give £1 million, it becomes a much greater uplift, but that's not the point. Everyone in society benefits from the gift aid incentive. And I would encourage that because I think, it builds a philanthropic society at all levels, if you're able to encourage people to do it. I won't go into more of the detail now, except to say that the most frequently given to type of charity in the world are ones that in the UK are ones that deal with animal welfare. But interestingly enough, because we think of international events, the total amount given, 14%, the highest amount, was given to international development and relief agencies. I'll just go on a little bit to the next slide. So I think this is all very positive, but I think we must remember, and we in the United Kingdom must remember, the huge gap in international funding requirements when it comes to UN SDGs and how we've sort of failed to meet our ambition as a global community in many ways, including the grand bargain. Next slide. So our principles and what we ask our partners to join us in advocating and collaborating on, what's termed decolonizing philanthropy, which means that we give more money directly to not-for-profit organizations in developing countries without restriction and with a lot higher degree of trust than is sometimes apparent in, say, the reporting requirements. We believe in localization, by which we mean communities and giving to communities and community-based organizations. We believe in borderless giving, in creating a universe in which people can give anywhere in the world to a charity or not-for-profit organization. And we believe in direct donations, giving directly to not-for-profits in another country. Next slide, please. So I won't go into this because I know we don't have much time, but I would just say that, you know, in the year that we've just finished accounting for, which is actually almost a year ago, we were able to help give £876 million worth of donations to a charity based in one of 135 countries. And when you look at the size of global need, that's a small figure, but at least we've done that, and we're looking to grow and expand that. Next slide, please. So I think this is probably going to be what we call in speaking terms a crowd pleaser. I'm going to talk to you about the World Giving Index, which just happens to rank Indonesia as the most generous country on earth. So, but do feel free to ask me any further questions on that. Next slide, please, rather. So, just to be clear about how we do this, and this is maybe particularly interesting for you, we use the Gallup World Poll. We have a partnership with Gallup, and within that poll are 3 questions which are asked in 119 countries, creating a sample size of in the region of 127,000 people. And they literally stop people on the street and they ask if they have recently helped a stranger, donated money to a not-for-profit, or volunteered time in a more structured way to a not-for-profit. Next slide, please. Well, if we consider the global community, we are more generous, you could say, than we have ever been before as a global community. 62% of people polled around the world helped a stranger, a record high. 35% donated money to a charitable organization, a record high. And volunteering, which has been higher a little bit, 23% volunteered their time in a structured way, and that's the highest since the very beginning of the World Giving Index 14 years ago. So I think, you know, if you work in this sector, you're always aware of the gaps and what you're not doing and what you're unable to do and what you require more volunteers to do or more money to do. And it's encouraging at least to look at this and just step back and say, hey, we are getting better and more generous as a global community. Next slide, please. These are the scores over time, and they're interesting, right? Because there's a little bit of a dip in 2018, 2019, and you see us getting back to levels that are, as I've just said, records. And it means that, you know, if you had a global score for the World Giving Index, it would be 40%, which is, you know, as high, higher even than it's ever been according to the World Giving Index. Next slide, please. So, Indonesia, ranked number 1, and I don't know if you'll remember exactly the figures, but I mean, you're outstandingly generous, according to the index. 58% of Indonesians stopped on the street had helped a stranger, 84% had donated money, and 63% had volunteered their time. Now, I know you have probably absorbed the figures, but the truth is that donating money and volunteering time are both well over twice as high in percentage terms as the global average. So, well done. Next slide, please. So this is some of the other countries that ranked in the top 10. And what you notice immediately is you don't have to be a rich country to be generous. That's, I think, a key lesson for all of us. And you don't actually have to be completely stable in political terms. I mean, if you look in the top 10, it's very noticeable that Zambia and Kenya are in the list, and or Sierra Leone as well, who you wouldn't consider to be the richest countries in the world. And it's also true that Myanmar is in there at the time of huge political upheaval, and Ukraine. So, you know, it is phenomenal how generous we can be, even in times of great crises and need. Just to be clear on the Ukrainian ranking, that actually took place right before the recent invasion of Ukraine, and the polling took place in the months right before. So we can perhaps speculate that they were preparing, but it's still a phenomenal result, and I think very surprising. Of course, I like to remind my friends that I work with in the United Kingdom that Britain ranks 17th, but Canada, where I happen to have been born, just as an example, ranks 8th. So anyway, but you'll see and the United States of America is 3rd, and in the first 10 years of the World Giving Index, on average, the United States ranked highest. So it is true that rich countries are generous as well sometimes, and that's not, you know, an incorrect assumption to make. But I just think those results bring forward a range of different countries, a range of different cultures, and a range of different economic environments, and it's just fascinating to review. I think that's the last slide, but just in case, next slide, please. So, what we call for, and I should say, you know, just in conclusion, you know, it's an honor to be doing this job and working at CAF, because we do have invitations to participate in some truly inspiring global work. We were recently asked to lead, along with other organizations, including Wings and the Council on Foundations in the United States and many other leading organizations, a submission to the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of association and of assembly. And, you know, the conclusion, and we consulted partners far and wide, including Philanthropy Indonesia, if we just helicopter up and look at it in basic terms, if we think of the triangle of philanthropy, government, funders, and CSOs, what is still the case is governments don't always realize that if they allow a vibrant civil society to exist in their country that is not onerously regulated and impeded from doing its mission, it fixes problems. It fixes problems at community level and at national level that government may not be able to fix. And critically, as part of that, it makes those issues not just government's problem. And that's a very powerful force in public policy terms. As I said right at the beginning, in the United Kingdom, we adopted an austerity program after the credit crunch. And the private sector philanthropy, if you will, by the British public, helped to solve many problems that there was not the money at national level to solve at the time. It's also true that funders, and I think this is particularly true of a certain type of philanthropist, need to stop being obsessed with just funding projects and need to fund infrastructure. You know, we are facing a $40 trillion US gap in funding for the UN SDGs. A lot of that needs to be delivered at local level, and there is not the infrastructure in place to deliver that scale of change. And so we all need to be prepared to fund infrastructure. And I think with CSOs, what I would say is, you know, we need to be prepared to partner together, both within our countries and across borders, and we need to stand up for ourselves and our role in solving problems both at home and abroad. To achieve those outcomes, these are some of the points we think are important, and I won't go through them in detail. Every country is, of course, vastly different in terms of all sorts of different dynamics. But there's no doubt that these are some of the common themes we uncovered from the rapporteur work, which involved consultation in well over 30 different countries around the world in many different types of economy and economic environment. With that, I hope it's been helpful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Derek. It's very fascinating talk, and we are very excited to listen. And I'm very happy that you mentioned about the giving index, and we are looking forward to hear from you directly. Actually, there are so many good points, but I wouldn't examine now. So I will give rightly to our second speaker, Ibu Suzanty Sitorus. She is one of the founders of Philanthropy Indonesia, and I must say she is one of our very strong backbone of our organization. Now, Vice Chairwoman of the Executive Board of Philanthropy, Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia. Ibu Santi will talk mostly about the Philanthropy Hub, which is a primary strategy to encourage the development of philanthropy ecosystem in Indonesia through co-creation and collaboration of collective action to achieve shared agendas. Time is yours, please.
Thank you, Amelia. Good afternoon, everyone, colleagues from Philanthropy Indonesia. Apologies for not joining you in this meeting, and especially apologies to Derek because I'm missing to meet you in person. We shared a panel before discussion, and yeah, actually I really would like to meet you and have a discussion in person. Okay, so before talking about this philanthropy hub that Amelia mentioned, just would like to pick up from Derek's excellent presentation and also what Amelia said in the introduction part of this session. It is indeed Indonesia. We have seen a lot of exciting and encouraging progress on philanthropy, and including what's evident in the CAF index. But I believe this all still more from the tradition and also the initiatives of individuals and philanthropy organizations. I believe there's still more can be done so that philanthropy can reach its full potential. And to get that, to get to that point, there's still a lot that we need to do. Derek mentioned about leapfrogging, and I think that's the kind of approach that we should think to escalate and to upscale the progress that we have so far. I also a firm believer that collaboration now is the only game for philanthropy, and in collaboration, I look at it, at both at the sector level and also at the program initiative level. So we need to really make a lot of progress on how we can do a strong collaboration to the progress at philanthropy, both at the sector and programs level. So I'm going to elaborate this first before talking about the Philanthropy Hub, because this is very important also to build on what Derek said. So collaboration, now we of course already often mention it. Like Amelia said, it's really strongly embedded in the younger generation. Collapse, and the older generation also say the same thing. But I see in practice, it's there's still many impediments, particularly in the context of philanthropy, is because of the understanding on philanthropy, especially in the government, and then also understanding of ecosystem and enabling environment. Why we need to really pay special attention to this. I see, when people talk about or we engage people to talk about ecosystem and enabling environment, there's confusion, possibly because these two sounds very abstract. But to me, maybe we should just look at it. It might sound simplistic, but just think about when we have to get from point A to point B, say from Jakarta to Bandung. People only think about, oh yeah, I have a car and I have a driver. I will get there fast and safely. Is that the case? Well, you need roads, right? You need roads, good roads that are built very robustly, that, in the case of heavy rainfall, we still can go through that road. There's no landslide, because it's built with good, construction and everything. And then, is that enough? No, you need rules, because, you need to get to Bandung safely. If everyone drive the car, without rules, then, you might find yourself in collision, accidents, and then you will not get to Bandung. And then is that enough? Well, we need to get to Bandung not only to transport ourselves. We need to transport goods, and sometimes maybe it's not only roads, but also we need trains, railways, so on and so forth. So there's so many things, from to get us from point A to point B, but in the end, it's all about for us, an integrated environment that could help us elevate, and make philanthropy meet its potential. So I'm just giving more. So now on the understanding of this why philanthropy is important, for the society. It has contributed a lot to the development, to the welfare of the society. And that is something that is still lacking in the government. The government see us as, source of money. Oh yeah, people who do charities, or sometimes, oh yeah, these groups who support, things that are not popular in the eyes of government. For instance, like supporting the marginalized people, or the groups of society that are considered, not really aligned with the societal values. So as a result, although the government produce tax incentives, but in practice, it is not really, there's no understanding from the government, from the tax people, that, this is part of the tool to grow society's contribution to development to the country. I'm giving an example. Just very recently, I got a phone call from the tax office because I claim, I paid for the tax, my zakat, the Islamic mandatory contribution. So I get a phone call from them. They say that, well, you claim it in your last tax report. We're informing you that we will audit you. So if you don't want it, so we suggest you to revise your tax report and make it now zero. And I was like, well, I'm actually, just implementing the regulation from your office, So if that's the case, audit, well, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, no problem. I have nothing to hide. So well, he hasn't got back to me, but I'm just sharing that that's the immediate uh, you know um, uh, effect for people who try to claim this tax benefits. It is something that actually already regulated in the government. So of course I already reported to the boss of Basnas because I was like, what is this? You have to sort it out. Anyway, so yeah, within the government, there's no good understanding about our sector. Uh, and so some of there are still many regulations. Okay, it's now there's discussions on the revision, but I think it is important to start and to conduct those discussions with the right approach. So I really support what Derek said. These global initiatives, with the UN rapporteur. So I'm really looking forward to the progress on that, because really we need to do it together, to put the right perspectives on what is exactly, the role of philanthropy. Well, of course, we can also do studies, to show in numbers, how much our contribution to the economic and social progress, we can do that also. But we do it nationally, but also we have to collaborate hands in hands with other colleagues, the global level, for this global movement to correct the misunderstanding on philanthropy. So that's why on the sector it is very important. I just talk about some of the problems from the government, the regulators. That in one or another, of course, our activities are confined within the regulatory framework, but also from ourselves, from the philanthropy organizations. A lot still do not have understanding about. We need to work together to improve our environment. So not just working on our own mandates, but also so the environment that can allow us to thrive collectively, and also including how to deal with the other parties such as regulators. So that's, I think, there's still a lot that need to be done. And on programs, so the collaboration, also we need to do more on how different organizations come together, especially when they share same goals or same regions where they work. So so these two that we in Indonesia Philanthropy Association are trying to address. We are, as an association, we are not an implementer. We want to be the voice of the sector, to advance the sector, and also to grow and to strengthen the collaboration of different, catalyzing the new initiatives from different organizations, especially among our members. So now I'm just would like to talk about the initiative that we call Philanthropy Hub. So this is more like to facilitate a better understanding about the overall activities that we do to strengthen ecosystem. We call it Philanthropy Hub, but it is basically consists of 4 pillars. So the first one is Philanthropy Learning Center. We believe that this is because the sector still grows, and also there are always new people joining the sector. There's always new topics that people want to learn. We believe that this through Philanthropy Learning Center, we can tap we can help improve the gaps on knowledge. And then also the second pillar is research, publication, and policy center. So this is part of the our role as policy on policy advocacy. We are working now on together with our members on the revision of laws on resource goods and donation mobilization. On tax incentive, actually, Mbak Amelia, we still also need to do a lot more, because in practice, as you know, what I said from my own experience, it's not really working. It's been a discouragement from the government. And then the third pillar is SDG Collaboration Center. So through this center, we aim to foster co-creation, collaboration, and synergies, not only between philanthropic organizations, but also with other parties like the private sector or local government. And the last four pillar is advocacy, campaign, and communication center. This will be also critical to amplify the good work that our colleagues have done, our sector has done to the society. And of course, these four pillars are a lot of work, and it's not only done by the association itself. It is done together with the members and also engaging other parties outside the stakeholders. So maybe I'll stop there,
Yes.
and I'm happy to if there's any question, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Bu Santi, for I think four important points for related to the how to support for the collaboration for enabling philanthropy environment. So now I have a police watch here, but in that to give me clue whether the time is only 10 minutes or so. So
That's my fault, though. I'm the one who overran.
No, it's okay. It's my fault. I feel like you're flying from so far away, so I don't want to stop you, and we are looking forward to listen to you. So it's okay.
Well, sorry, anyway.
It's okay. Time is now to Mas Tommy. Maybe you should talk about not more than 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, less than that is good. Yeah. But Mas Tommy has been involved in philanthropy organization since 24 years ago, right? 24 years ago. He is a president of Human Initiative and has been engaged with a number of associations, CHAM, Human HFE, Humanitarian Forum Indonesia, and many others, and also the Zakat Forum. So he's the right person to talk now about getting money from international donors to Indonesia, how to engage, what's the challenge, and then strategies to that's your organization, one of the organization in Indonesia that have a quite good internationalization and support from international. Time's yours, not less than 10 minutes. Please.
Terima kasih Bu Amel. Very good afternoon everyone. Because of we only have 10 minutes, not more, and also Pak Derek gave permission to speak in Bahasa, so it is maybe more simple for us to talk in 10 minutes with Bahasa Indonesia. Is it agree? Baik, terima kasih. Bapak Ibu yang senang sekali bisa bertemu di sini, diundang oleh Philanthropy Indonesia. Next slide please. ini gambaran sedikit tentang Human Initiative. Kami berdiri sejak tahun 99, kemudian Indonesian based NGO, meskipun kami juga punya 3 cabang di luar negeri ya, di UK, Australia dan di Korea Selatan. Ada juga 13 cabang di Indonesia di 13 provinsi. Bekerja di tiga pilar program, child protection, kemudian yang kedua ada disaster management, and also in community empowerment. Jadi 3 pilar program ini. Nah, kami sudah menyusun visi 2030. Ini visi bagaimana Human Initiative ke depan akan mencoba memberikan penguatan di sisi filantropi dan memiliki visi baru yaitu goodness for dignity. Ini bagaimana kami ingin mengempower pemartabatan masyarakat melalui isu-isu tentang kebaikan. Also we gave inspiration from CAF because of Indonesian is the most generous country, so we have put goodness for dignity. Dalam bahasa Indonesia adalah menggerakkan kebaikan untuk pemartabatan manusia. Jadi we come from Indonesian generous people, so we have to empower, we have to make dignity of Indonesia of people. Next please. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian, landscape kemanusiaan dunia sekarang adalah 1 dari 23 manusia di Indonesia di dunia itu membutuhkan bantuan. Jadi kalau di sini kita ada 23 orang, 1 di antara kita ini adalah membutuhkan bantuan kemanusiaan. Sehingga betul sekali bahwa bagaimana ini kita harus mengelola isu-isu kemanusiaan ini menjadi harus kolaboratif. Ini datanya, ini dari data dari Global Humanitarian Overview yang dibuat oleh UN-OCHA di tahun 2023. Next please. Tantangannya apa? Lanjut saja biar cepat. Refleksi dari perjalanan kami selama 24 tahun bersama-sama dengan masyarakat di dunia filantropi. Ada 3 isu utama bagaimana ketika kita mengelola foreign funding management. Jadi pertama adalah soal isu tentang kepercayaan. Ya. Ketika orang dari internasional memberikan bantuan kepada NGO, bagaimana kita harus bisa membangun sebuah kepercayaan? Karena tidak mudah. Ya, mereka punya perspektif, mereka punya standar, dan itu harus dimiliki oleh NGO seperti kami. Banyak hal ya, tentang track record programnya, tentang akuntabilitasnya, tentang transparannya. Tadi Pak Derek nyebut soal accountability, transparansi, dan macam-macam, termasuk soal legalitas. Ya. Yang kedua isu tentang undervalue local atau national NGO. Jadi ada satu image bahwa national NGO itu dianggap tidak mampu, ya, tidak kuat untuk bisa mengelola dana-dana internasional. Tadi menarik kalimatnya Pak Derek, decolonialization of philanthropy. Very good message ya. Jadi faktanya bahwa internasional itu ketika memandang nasional NGO itu sangat mungkin bahasanya peyoratif pada masa lalu. Maka ketika di World Humanitarian Summit di tahun 2016, ketika Ban Ki-moon membuat KTT kemanusiaan dunia, dan kebetulan waktu itu kami ikut hadir di sana, maka ada yang namanya bagaimana membuat transformasi dalam bantuan kemanusiaan. Tadi Pak Derek nyebut soal grand bargain, soal localization. Itu ada upaya untuk mentransformasi itu. Tantangannya di situ. Nah, yang ketiga, complexity of donor standard. Ini luar biasa nih, NGO international funder ini standar mereka, standar yang Amerika punya, Inggris punya, dipakai oleh kita. Jadi mereka ingin akuntabel, transparan dengan cara mereka yang harus dilakukan oleh nasional, lokal NGO. Ada gap yang sangat luar biasa. Mungkin kerjakan laporannya saja perlu 5 hari untuk satu tema. Butuh biaya lagi. Ini kompleks ini. Jadi ini tantangan kita. Next saja lanjut. Nah, apa sih kira-kira yang kami lakukan? Pembelajaran kami di Human Initiative adalah kami menyadari ada beberapa hal yang harus kami lakukan. Yang pertama soal compliance. Sebuah lembaga NGO harus memiliki yang namanya compliance, terutama soal legal entity. Kami di nasional merujuk kepada Kementerian Sosial, ya, yang ada kasus PUB itu yang pakai undang-undang tahun 61 untuk sekarang, ya. Selamat berjuang kawan. Tadi Mbak Santi menyampaikan undang-undang zakat yang sudah sangat mapan saja mau klaim diancam. Saya mau audit. Ini yang sudah mapan undang-undang, gimana yang Kemensos gitu ya. Nah, itu yang kami register sebagai lembaga kesehatan sosial nasional. Yang kedua, kami juga register di UN ECOSOC sebagai Special Consultative Status di tahun 2008. Ini membantu kami untuk kemudian berinteraksi dengan internasional entitas. Jadi begitu kami nyebut ECOSOC, mereka langsung paham. Ya, karena memang ada prosedur tertentu untuk bisa menjadi register di sana. Kemudian yang kedua adalah international standard. Kami yakin bahwa NGO perlu juga melengkapi ini. Pertama soal ISO, kami manajemen mutu alhamdulillah sudah certified. Terus di-improve ya. Bahkan karena kami concern di isu kemanusiaan, maka sphere handbook itu menjadi kebutuhan. Ketika respon bantuan kemanusiaan, panduannya kemana? Ke panduan sphere. Sangat penting ya. Karena ini nanti ketika ngomong soal sphere, itu primbon kalau orang Jawa itu ya. Primbonnya kemanusiaan. Jadi orang bule langsung tahu, oh Anda pakai sphere, selesai, nggak ada masalah. Jadi nggak banyak pertanyaan. Lalu soal safeguarding policy, bicara soal tentang isu anak, lalu PSIE soal sexual abuse dan sebagainya. Ini juga harus kami lakukan. Project management for development. Jadi ini juga penting. Yang kedua adalah continuous learning, continuous improvement. Ini luar biasa ya. Kami harus terus memacu untuk terus belajar. Tidak hanya skillnya staff, tapi juga soal value. Ya, value di NGO, di filantropi itu berbeda dengan di dunia sektor industri, sektor bisnis. Ya, karena tidak hanya sekedar kontraktual pekerjaan, tapi juga ada value yang harus di dalam. Improving organizational system. Ini risk-based process improvement. Bapak Ibu sekalian, ketika bicara soal international assistance, international funding, itu ada isu-isu resiko, isu soal money laundry, ya, isu soal terorisme. Nah, ini penting. Maka kemudian kami melakukan risk-based process improvement, mengacu kepada panduan-panduannya PPATK, FATF, ya, lalu kemudian panduannya Kementerian Sosial, Kementerian Luar Negeri dan sebagainya. Termasuk juga perlu ada teknologi manajemen. Kami bersyukur dari mulai fundraising dana sampai ke project sudah terintegrated sistemnya, sistem IT-nya. Jadi memudahkan untuk bekerja. Lalu strengthening impact and accountability. Nah, soal impact ini taruhannya NGO dan soal accountability. Yang ketiga adalah soal kolaborasi. Bekerja di kemanusiaan, bekerja di international fund harus berkolaborasi. Ini penting baik untuk national level maupun international level. HI menjadi salah satu member di di internasional itu di membernya ICFA yang berbasis di Jenewa, juga di Indonesia ada Filantropi Indonesia, ada juga di HFI ya. Lalu juga penting ya, harus bersama-sama dengan pemerintah berkomunikasi, termasuk dengan UN agencies, dengan internasional dan sebagainya, termasuk dengan multinational company. Ini juga penting, banyak membangun komunikasi dengan mereka, dan kita juga harus banyak belajar dengan bahasa-bahasa mereka. Next, pembelajarannya ini bentar lagi selesai. Ini Cianjur kami di-engage oleh global crowdfunding platform, termasuk juga multinational company yang berbasis di Amerika. mereka ketika melakukan due diligence awal itu ngecek di legal compliance, masuk nggak dalam persyaratan mereka, standar mereka. Ketika itu selesai, kemudian portofolio programnya seperti apa, accountability-nya, impact-nya bagaimana dan sebagainya. Ini ternyata ini luar biasa, sangat ketat. Lalu people center response, tadi Pak Derek juga nyebut soal localization. Ini penting karena apa? People center response ini adalah bagaimana kita mendorong kekuatan lokal untuk bisa empower, membantu mereka sendiri, tapi kita hanya mendampingi. Karena itu tadi more efektif, more efisien. Nah, kemudian working together dengan kerjasama, lalu ada monef ya dan evaluation, ini juga penting. Kami juga melakukan monitoring and evaluation berbasis kepada sphere dan CHS, core maintenance standard. Ini juga menjadi salah satu cara bahwa kerja-kerja kita ini ada panduan dan ada standar yang harus kita ikuti sehingga kemudian bisa dipahami oleh stakeholder terutama di internasional. Lalu soal learning event juga itu. Lanjut. Ini juga pengalaman ketika di Myanmar. Ya, kami bersama dengan Bu Amel bersama-sama membuat konsorsium untuk aliansi untuk bantu Rohingya di Myanmar. Ya. Bekerja sama bersama-sama dengan pemerintah. Ini foto kami ya dengan presidennya, Menteri Sosialnya Myanmar, dengan Ibu Menlu, dengan segenap NGO di Indonesia duduk bareng untuk bekerja sama membantu di Myanmar. Ya. Akhirnya apa? Ketika masuk ke negara yang beresiko tinggi bersama-sama dengan pemerintah, itu otomatis nggak ada masalah, nggak ada isu soal macam-macam. Ya, karena sudah ada perlindungan dari pemerintah. Lalu mengadvokasi isu, jadi juga itu kita lakukan. Lalu mengengage dan kolaborasi, penting untuk mengengage local NGO, local leaders. Di bawah itu kami bekerjasama dengan Hmong, foto di bawah itu ya. Kami masuk ke monastery, ngobrol dengan Hmong, mendorong beliau untuk membantu bagaimana mengakses masyarakat, terutama di kelompok yang Rahen, yang Buddhis. Ini juga upaya-upaya kita bekerja bagaimana mengempower lokal. Lalu lanjut itu ya. Saya kira apa sih rekomendasinya? Nah, bagi kami yang lingkaran dalam yang biru itu strong ecosystem ya. Yang warna biru pertama itu adalah sebetulnya internally untuk NGO. Penting bahwa NGO harus punya program impact, portofolio yang baik. Kemudian yang kedua adalah accountability. Ini juga harus ya, tidak bisa ditawar-tawar. Yang ketiga adalah management on system and technology. Jadi harus punya sistem, punya prosedur ya, termasuk didukung oleh teknologi. Juga ada good governance. Ini menjadi fondasi utama good governance itu, dari mulai pengambilan keputusan, bagaimana kita membangun relasi antar SDM dan sebagainya. Lalu soal kapasitas. Ini juga sangat penting sekali soal kapasitas. Lalu yang di luar itu adalah faktor eksternal yang kira-kira penting ya. Tadi adaptive international partners. Kalau kemudian international partners itu sudah mau mengadaptasi bagaimana kekuatan lokal, jadi tidak hanya menggunakan standar mereka dalam membuat pelaporan, membuat proposal dan sebagainya, dia mau respect kepada nasional NGO, local NGO, karena mereka juga punya prosedur, mereka juga punya SOP dan sebagainya. Ini harus dipertemukan. Yang kedua adalah mendorong kolaborasi multi stakeholder, lalu mengempower lokal. Ini tidak bisa tawar-tawar lagi sekarang ya, localization. Kemudian yang keempat adalah kondusif geopolitik. Ini penting. Ya, kenapa ini penting? Misalnya ada kejadian sekarang perang Ukraina sama Rusia. Dampaknya kemana-mana. Ya, ketika kita mendeliver bantuan ke sana, ancamannya adalah soal safety and security. Termasuk misalnya ada negara konflik, tapi ada yang mau berdonasi ke negara kita. Lalu ada warning di PPATK, ini ada dana masuk dari negara konflik. Ini tanda tanya. Ini ada apa? Itu. Ini juga harus menjadi perhatian kita. Maka due diligence itu penting. Ini menjadi salah satu faktor perhatian kita ya. Ketika dapat dana, mungkin kalau dari negara Amerika, Inggris nggak ada masalah. Tapi kalau dari negara-negara yang merah, ya, Karena kan PPATK itu mengatur negara hijau, kuning, merah. Itu langsung ada alertnya itu. Ya. Lalu yang terakhir adalah encourage regulation and policy. Jadi pasti bahwa ada di insentif ya. Lalu mendorong civic space, memberikan, tadi Pak Derek menyampaikan bahwa ada peraturan yang fair ya, yang continue, tidak berubah-berubah gitu ya. Kami pengalaman sekarang ya, 3 bulan memperpanjang izin di Kementerian Sosial. Nanti kalau ada masalah ditegur, laporannya belum beres, tegur. Nanti hari ini yang disampaikan staf ini berbeda, staf besok staf lagi juga berbeda. Nah ini juga, yaitu dinamika. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks so much, Mas Tom. It's very impressive from very specific topic on managing foreign fund, but Mas Tom already give us a very crucial point on the challenge and then also lesson learned from Cianjur and also Myanmar and the recommendation. Okay, I'll move on now to our last speaker, still young CEO from Rumah Zakat, Irfan Nugraha. I must say you already had like 18 years, right? 18 years engagement with international philanthropy organization, and then he's the one behind the Rumah Zakat get the award Indonesia's first local brand champion, in 2017-2018. Yeah. So you're the man behind. You're Chief Marketing Officer of Rumah Zakat. So you will talk about how challenge and strategies and the best practice in mobilizing zakat for sustainable impact and at national and international level. Time is yours, and if possible, it is 10 minutes for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Terima kasih, Prof. Amel. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, selamat sore, salam sejahtera. Hello everyone, thank you for having me here. I am Irfan Nugraha, CEO of Rumah Zakat. Terima kasih kepada Charity Aid Foundation and Philanthropy Indonesia for having me in this session. I would also like to say hello, Mr. Derek, Prof. Amel, Bung Presiden Tommy Hendrajati, ini Presiden Humanitarian Indonesia. Ini sahabat saya ya, Pak Tommy dan Ibu Suzanty Sitorus. Terima kasih atas kesempatannya dalam topik sore kali ini. But first of all, Prof. Amel and Mr. Derek, please forgive me if I will also speak in bahasa, mix with English. Yeah.
Well, please
share,
do. Please do.
Slide presentation. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Rumah Zakat 25 tahun bergerak di Indonesia dan tentunya sudah mengalami beberapa kali perubahan, transformasi. Let me share about vision and mission of organization. Our vision is to be a professional empowerment based international philanthropic organization. Manual or mission is to actively participate in building network of international philanthropy, to facilitate the self-relation of society. Third, to optimize or relate aspect of resources by means of human excellence. Rumah zakat ada di 3 positioning saat ini sebagai lembaga zakat, lembaga pemberdayaan, dan lembaga kemanusiaan. And Rumah Zakat juga members di Forum Zakat, IKFA, HFI, Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia, POS, dan terbaru kita aktif sebagai member di Asosiasi Fintech Syariah Indonesia. Ya, next slide. Untuk legal formalnya, Rumah Zakat terdaftar secara legal formal, ya, mandatorinya di Kementerian Agama sebagai lembaga amil zakat nasional dan juga lembaga LKS, ya, di Kementerian Sosial. This is some start of our 25 years journey. In 25 years, we have delivered 46.7 million service in 34 provinces and present 18 provinces. We have helped 1,732 village, 19 champion school, 8 clinic, and I have received help from 739,000 donors. We have also passed 16 audit with qualified opinions. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is our core program. We have port, empowerment, social enterprise, empowerment, and disaster action, and CSR partner. Next slide. Yeah. So these are our milestone since our founding. We have experience for transformation. As you can see, we were founded in 1998 as DSUKI. Jadi bermula di Bandung, lalu kita melakukan transformasi kedua di tahun 2006 dari traditional institution to professional institution, and transformasi ketiga di tahun 2016, dan sekarang 2020 kita melakukan transformasi lagi yang keempat, dan kita Rumah Zakat mempunyai visi 2025 sebagai mitra strategis negara, dan ini adalah upaya pertama kita untuk lebih optimal berkontribusi buat negara ini, dan kita juga punya harapan, impian untuk menjadi duta bagi Indonesia di global untuk menjadikan Rumah Zakat sebagai lembaga filantropi global dan menjadi mitra strategis global di tahun 2027. Ya, next slide. Di tahun 2020, ya, Rumah Zakat melakukan transformasi sebagai salah satu cara kita beradaptasi dan melakukan upaya-upaya strategi, ya, action secara kelembagaan, dan ini adalah digital transformasi arsitektur, ya, mulai dari fondasinya adalah value and culture, dan ini yang menjadikan strong point buat Rumah Zakat, yaitu adalah bagaimana membina para amil, ya, para pegawainya untuk mempunyai nilai-nilai yang kuat, ya, untuk melayani, nilai-nilai untuk berkontribusi, dan tentunya adalah nilai-nilai untuk terus menghadirkan kebermanfaatan lebih luas bagi Indonesia, bagi dunia, dan kita jadikan nilai ini sebagai sebuah budaya, culture, yang dengan caranya itu adalah dengan mengadakan ya inspirasi pagi atau juga penguatan budaya-budaya ya. Lalu ada kapasitas ya, mulai dari performance excellent, product excellent, operational excellent, kompetensi, positioning, dan juga global vision. Dan ini kita coba upayakan untuk bisa selesai di tahun 2027. Dalam transformasi digital, ini adalah cara rumah zakat untuk merespon ya perkembangan dari teknologi digital. Maka di tahun 2020 ya ada 3 tahapan, mulai dari people, process, and new business model. Jadi kita melakukan aktivitas organisasi dengan 2 cara, ya, model secara konvensional, ya, dan juga dengan model secara startup, ya. Next slide. Ya, lalu bagaimana rumah zakat, ya, setelah kita berjalan 25 tahun tentu saja mengalami fase transformasi dalam berkontribusi, yang mulai dari fase charity, lalu dilanjutkan dengan empowerment, pemberdayaan berkelanjutan, dan sekarang kita juga masuk kepada fase bagaimana mengelola social enterprise sebagai upaya kita juga untuk menghadirkan kemandirian kepada layanan-layanan yang sudah dibentuk oleh rumah zakat seperti sekolah juara, badan usaha milik masyarakat, dan juga klinik. Nah, lalu so we move to the role of zakat social development in Indonesia. Ya, next slide. Okay. Based of the ruling zakat number 23 of 2011 about zakat management. One, increase the effectivity and efficiency in zakat management service, and increase the benefit of zakat to achieve social welfare and eradication of poverty. Ya, next slide. Nah, ini adalah tahapan ataupun juga isu ya kemiskinan yang menjadi permasalahan mendasar ya bagi Indonesia. Nah, jadi kita coba bagaimana kemiskinan di Indonesia menjadi sebuah tantangan bagi lembaga filantropi, khususnya rumah zakat, untuk bisa berkontribusi, dan kita jadikan kemiskinan ini menjadi salah satu objektif kita untuk berkontribusi ataupun menjadi objektif lembaga. Ya, next slide. Oke. Selanjutnya ini adalah bagaimana rumah zakat approach ya dalam mengatasi ya permasalahan kemiskinan di Indonesia. Nah, tentu salah satu positioning rumah zakat adalah sebagai lembaga pemberdayaan dengan mengoptimalkan sumber daya zakat, infak, sedekah, dan wakaf untuk kita kelola ya di dalam aktivitas pemberdayaan berkelanjutan. Ya, tentunya adalah untuk mencapai target objektif lembaga, mentransformasikan penerima manfaat beneficiaries, bertransformasi ya dari prasejahtera ya keluar dari garis kemiskinan. Dan ini adalah framework-nya ya, tentu adalah kita dari isu-isu program, lalu bagaimana kita juga melakukan program karakteristik, lalu intervensi approach ya, baik itu secara individu ya penerima manfaatnya, keluarga, dan community atau komunitas ya. Lalu dilakukan ada 2 model di dalam intervensi ya, charity and empowerment, dan tentunya berharap kita bisa menjadi sebuah solusi bagi permasalahan-permasalahan sosial kemanusiaan yang menjadi topik isu bagi Indonesia. Dan ini adalah tantangan buat kita semuanya, namun tentu masyarakat Indonesia yang luar biasa, yang mempunyai sifat kegotong royongan, ya, dapat bersama untuk melakukan aksi-aksi nyata, menghadirkan kebaikan, dan tentunya juga bersama untuk mendukung ya permasalahan atau mengatasi masalah kemiskinan di Indonesia. Lanjut. Next slide please. Ya, ini adalah bagaimana community empowerment ya. Jadi pemberdayaan berbasis komunitas yang dilakukan oleh Rumah Zakat, dan kita mempunyai empowering village ya, desa berdaya di Indonesia. Dan salah satu upaya yang kita lakukan adalah tentu melakukan pemberdayaan secara komunitas, dan goals-nya ada 2, yaitu adalah keberdayaan secara karakter ya, secara mental, yang keduanya adalah keberdayaan secara ekonomi ya. Jadi 2 inilah yang diukur ya di dalam melakukan pemberdayaan secara komunitas. Dan tentu juga Rumah Zakat menyatukan para penerima manfaat secara individu itu di dalam komunitas, yaitu kita sebut adalah badan usaha milik masyarakat ataupun BUMAS ya. Kalau pemerintah punya BUMDes, kalau kita Rumah Zakat mempunyai BUMAS ya. Next slide.
Mas Irfan bisa.
Nah, ini adalah approach-nya ya, bagaimana skema yang dilakukan oleh Rumah Zakat, the way we empower Indonesia ya, melalui pendekatannya desa berdaya. Next slide.
1 menit lagi ya, Mas Irfan ya.
3 tahapan ya, Rumah Zakat ya, mulai dari merekrut relawan inspirasi, lalu melibatkan masyarakat untuk pemberdayaan secara terintegrasi, dan tentunya terakhir adalah kita membantu ya penerima manfaat dalam program pemberdayaan secara ekonomi. Next slide. Ya, ini jumlahnya desa berdaya ya di Indonesia ada 1.732. Next slide. Lanjut. Ya, ini beberapa contoh prestasi pemberdayaan desa berdaya. Jadi banyak sekali relawan inspirasi kita yang sudah berprestasi. Ini adalah local hero, champion-championnya di desa ya, yang luar biasa. Mereka lah ujung tombak yang perlu diapresiasi di dalam strategi mengatasi permasalahan kemiskinan dan juga meningkatkan kualitas hidup masyarakat. Lanjut. Ya, ini polanya ya. Jadi dari individu kita kumpulkan di dalam sebuah community berbasis BUMAS ya, sehingga kita berharap ya dari dana zakat infak sodaqoh ini yang tujuannya mentransformasikan mustaik atau penerima manfaat bisa terwujud ya. Next slide.
Mas Irfan,
ya, ini tahun
bisa
lalu, ya,
diselesaikan?
Kita, alhamdulillah dengan kolaborasi. Next.
Oh ya, Mas Irfan bisa 1 menit lagi, boleh?
Menit lagi, siap.
Ya.
Next.
Oh, pantes nggak dengar.
Oke, lanjut ya. Jadi ini contoh ya impact-nya melalui BUMAS ya. Alhamdulillah ada peningkatan dari sisi ekonomi ya, social impact maupun juga secara value-nya. Lanjut. Ya, dan ini kontribusi Rumah Zakat bersama mitra dalam SDGs ya, sebagai upaya kita bagaimana program pemberdayaan berbasis zakat infak sodaqoh ini bisa diterima secara global. Kita memberikan pelaporan dengan pendekatan SDGs ini. Lanjut. Ya, ini tantangannya. Lanjut. Ya. Pertama tentu adalah accountability ya. Yang keduanya adalah shifting donors ya. Jadi tumbuh memang lembaga-lembaga, tetapi juga terjadi shifting ya dari satu lembaga, donor satu lembaga ke donors yang lain, dan juga tentunya ada sentimen negatif kepada lembaga-lembaga ya. Dan selanjutnya adalah tantangannya adalah public trust ya, ketika ekosistem filantropi itu terganggu dengan lembaga-lembaga yang tentunya tidak menjalani ketaatannya terhadap GCG ya, ataupun juga ketaatannya kepada tidak menjalankan kepada kode etik. Lanjut ya, ini beberapa rekomendasi. Lanjut next ya. Mulai dari jelas ya, ini transparan ya, kolaborasi ya, maka tentu rumah zakat kenapa bergabung dengan beberapa asosiasi, bagian upaya untuk memperkuat ya, mempercepat dari ketercapaian pemberdayaan yang tentunya adalah perlu lembaga-lembaga terus relevan dengan perkembangan zaman ya, baik itu dalam hal penghimpunan, komunikasi ya, maupun juga pemberdayaannya. Selanjutnya adalah tentu menginformasikan ya secara rutin kepada stakeholder terkait dengan performan dan juga aktivitas yang dilakukan oleh lembaga-lembaga ya. Yang selanjutnya adalah bagaimana semua ataupun masing-masing lembaga mempunyai keunikan ya, strength point yang dijalankan di dalam menjalankan organisasinya. Next.
Kayaknya udah ending bagus sekali nih, Mas.
Oke, ini bentuk
Kayaknya
ya.
soalnya nggak kedengeran.
Cukup ya.
Pantes.
Ya, terima kasih ya, barangkali kolaborasi.
Thanks so much, Mas Ivan, untuk for the presentation. Okay. I don't know. I will ask Pak Gusman whether we still have time to Q&A. We still have time for a Q&A. Okay, that's great. So, I have one here in the front, two, and then one more. Yes, three. Please, you can ask your question straightforward, please. And mention your name, please.
Hello, good afternoon. This question is for Derek. Hi, Derek. I'm Ilyana Habsya from Plan International Indonesia. So actually, we are also coming from England, from Woking, our international office. We are currently already in touch with CIF in several organizations from the private sectors. And actually, we are speaking with Jesse Kraft in the Asia Pacific region. So what we have now working with CAF is two things. Is one, for those companies in US that wanted the tax exemption, they are doing it, the transfer through CAF. So it's actually, because sometimes it's cheaper than our internal costs even. So thank you for that. And second is also the company that is currently in Indonesia. They are doing their transfer through CAF US. So I think we are going to see a lot of cooperation between us. My question is that one of your point that you mentioned today is you are also doing funding for building the capacity for local NGO, because we ourselves are considering our local NGO. So whether I can contact you directly or you can elaborate more on the financing or grant for the capacity building for local NGO. That's my question.
Thanks so much.
Especially to build the financial sustainability of our organization. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ibu Ilyana. And next, please.
Yes, that's okay. Terima kasih. My name is Sita Supomo. I'm a member of Philanthropy Indonesia as well as the board in Indonesia untuk Kemanusiaan. My question for you, Derek, especially, and as well as other panelists, if you may, is about regulation, government regulation as enabling environment. Because from the presentation, especially the Indonesian one, you haven't mentioned specifically how government actually promote giving. Yeah. The one that I mentioned, especially for collecting donation that has recently been a big issues in Indonesia, especially. I wonder if in the UK you have such a regulation that make it a bit easier, if not more. So basically, what I'm talking about is Permen Sos PUB 8 2021. It is the implementation of collection of money and goods, because you mentioned about Derek mentioned about regulation should not be too restrictive, I think, in a sense, and that is what we found in that ministry's social ministry regulation. It's very difficult to raise fund because you have to go to multiple recommendation from the governorial level or from the region, head of the region level, for instance, and then also the restriction into how the money is being used. And this is another issues, but basically it cannot be used, for instance, for supporting, strengthening the local NGOs, for instance. So it can only be used for consumables or construction. And it's very limited in time in terms of how you, so the permit only works for 3 months. So basically from the moment you register until you get the permit, and then after that it's 3 months for collection, and then after that you have 3 months to implement the program, whether that's consumable or non-consumable. So if it's consumable, it has to be spent out within 3 months +1 if needed. But for construction, it's 1 year. But then if you don't do that, then the permit will be basically canceled. That's part of the sanction. So in the light of that kind of regulation from the ministerial level, obviously, what kind of regulation that you think would be much friendlier for the government? In the case of the UK, is there any such case where even the collecting the fund has to go through such a restrictive regulation? So that's if you have any example, that's one. And then the second is a call, actually, because the second question, sorry, because when I saw the type of donation, how it is being used, it is much more traditional sense, yeah, education, economic empowerment, and similar things like that. My question is, how about organization that promote democracies, anti-corruptions? How are you going to fund such activities? Here in Indonesia, there has been a bit of movement to, like Indonesian Corruption Watch. They try to raise fund from the friends of the Indonesian Corruption Watch so that they can use that funding for promoting the anti-corruption advocacy. But I haven't seen Rumah Zakat for any other religious-based philanthropy is using or are channeling the funding for strengthening people's voice, strengthening the democracy in Indonesia. Well, it is very, very important to do so. So I'm wondering if, Derek, there is any examples in the UK where charity-based activities promote such or funding such initiatives. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ibu Sita. And the last, please.
Selamat sore semuanya. Ibu, saya ada pertanyaan untuk Mas Irfan. Apakah pertanyaannya harus disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggris atau bahasa Indonesia?
Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay, right. Selamat sore Mas Irfan, saya rintis dari platform usaha sosial atau biasa disebut PLAS. Jadi kami menawarkan pengembangan kapasitas untuk usaha sosial atau social enterprises. Nah, berdasarkan penelitian dari Derek tadi bahwa Indonesia is the most generous country in the world, sehingga ada potensi gitu ya Mas, bahwa banyak donasi, banyak dukungan untuk social impact gitu. Tapi kami sebagai inkubator gitu ya melihat bahwa teman-teman usaha sosial ini kadang-kadang sulit untuk menjual produknya karena usaha sosial ini kan juga mempertimbangkan perdagangan yang adil. Jadi kalau misalnya membeli barang dari tengkulak harus dengan harga yang adil sehingga harga yang sampai ke tangan konsumen itu terlalu mahal sehingga teman-teman merasa harga produk-produk usaha sosial ini terlalu mahal, jadi ya udah bisnisnya tidak bertahan lama gitu Mas. Nah, jadi menurut Mas Irfan adakah gap gitu? Padahal teman-teman di Indonesia ini dermawan gitu ya, tapi di sisi lain merasa bahwa harga di produk-produk social enterprise ini terlalu mahal. Padahal social enterprise ini kan membantu orang juga gitu dan membuat giving kita atau giving kita menjadi lebih sustainable gitu Mas Irfan. Terima kasih Bu.
Thanks so much. We have a number of questions. I just told from the committee that we only have 10 minutes for you to answer the question. I think most question for Derek. I think you should keep Derek for another month here in Indonesia. And but I will ask Derek and then later on all of the speakers to comment on because it's mentioned actually collaboration. All of the speakers mentioned about the importance of collaboration and then challenge. So maybe other speakers can also comment on what is the aspect that can sustain the enabling philanthropy ecosystem. Okay, then you first.
Thank you,
please.
and thank you. Ooh, should I turn this on?
Yes,
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question, and I won't be able to answer all of it, but I'll try to get as far as I can, and then I would just emphasize that I'm not an expert in all these matters, so I think I can certainly connect you with people who are. I mean, I think the point with CAF America, and the point I would emphasize is that America is not known historically as a very internationalist country from time to time, nor is it known as being one with loose legislation. It tends to have the reputation of being pretty insular and also being very regulated. Yet the American system is by far the most consistent on how you identify a foreign organization as charitable in status. And I would encourage anybody to look up the American regulatory framework. There are two: equivalency determination, which effectively at the end of quite a thorough and arduous process, but a clear one, a consistent one, one that's not subjective to individual sort of political opinion. You effectively say this charity or this organization, if it was in the United States of America, would be a 501c, would be a charity. And that allows them to benefit from a window of time in which they qualify as a charitable benefactor in the United States tax system. The second is expenditure responsibility, which is a very interesting model that allows you to do project-only funding, so you don't have to go through all of equivalency determination. But second, and most importantly, it also means you can be a for-profit organization, but if you have a project that is not for profit, then that project, as long as there's suitable governance and the funds are ring-fenced and what have you, can qualify. And, examples vary, but, an obvious one is schools and hospitals can be in many parts of the world for profit, but they will have a program to support local communities. And I would encourage expenditure responsibility, which is the latter, and equivalency determination. I would encourage anybody to go to the CAF America website or any other reputable source, but CAF America have a lot of clear and concise explanations about these two standards. And the point is, it allows people to fundraise in the United States and to receive funds as if they were a charity in the United States, without the burden of being so. And that is immensely valuable. And I would also say that one of the themes I think that has come up consistently is the issue of trust. And trust and the level in which we trust government to do its job and charities to do their job and donors to give. And I think one of the beauties of having a vibrant civil society sector is that civil society can take risks that sometimes government can't or other organizations can't, even large INGOs or what have you. And they need to have a regulatory framework, ideally, in which they're allowed to fail and they're allowed to take those risks and take advantage of that position. The last thing I will just say is, within the European Union, which is, of course, a single market, there are more than 20 national definitions of what it means to be a foundation. So we have a lot to learn. And I would not always say that we get it right. And these problems about consistency and the right regulatory framework are quite consistent. In Europe, it is easier sometimes to if you want to move your organization from one country to another, to shut down completely in one country and reopen in another, than simply transfer your status. And given how much portability and free movement of people there is within Europe, that's quite surprising. And the European Union is addressing it. But I thought that was an interesting observation to make, to say how much I'm looking forward to the leapfrog in Indonesia and circumventing some of these structural problems that exist elsewhere. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Actually, there is one more question from in the Zoom from Satya Zen. I think it's similar question with Ibu Sita. But the question is, maybe you have some suggestion for organization like Philanthropy Indonesia to take a role as advocate for regulation that is like the CAF doing in the charity in a charity commission like in the UK. Well, maybe can you give that shot?
So I think I would look a little bit, if you're looking for anything that's quite maybe in a better sense liberal, more flexible, it's the way in the United Kingdom you can be a social enterprise. So you don't have to be a registered charity to have elements of the benefits of being a not-for-profit organization. And it's the legislation around social enterprise that I would encourage people to look to, not necessarily as a model, but perhaps as an inspiration that can be significantly adapted to Indonesia. I'm aware here of trends around social impact investing and these kind of models, which are different to how we operate and the environment in the UK. But it would be the work on social enterprise and the definitions of social enterprise that I would look for. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much for that interesting solution. One of the interesting solutions. Okay, I'll give time to Mas Tom for a short comment replying about the enabling environment.
Just a short experience regarding how to make an enabling environment for the international funds. We have experienced 7 years ago. We got what we call it localization projects from international organization to improve our capacity on governance, on on accountability, also on management system. We did this process until 3 years, and we got capacity on these issues. Also, we got a very good experience during the Palu response. There is international donors from UK deliver the assistance through the international organization in Indonesia. We are very lucky because of the three of international agencies of the three of international NGOs from Indonesia asked us to be implementing partner in Indonesia, and the donors from UK asked us, you will choose which organization, and the three of international NGOs, and I asked them, it is not my problem, it is their problem. So you can discuss by yourself to choose me, and then the two of the three is to be our partners to deliver assistance in Palu. It is the important thing about the governance, accountability, and auto system for the NGOs like Indonesian NGO, national NGO. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Ibu Santi, ya. Suaranya nggak kedengeran. We cannot hear you. Suaranya nggak ada.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hold a second, Mbak Santi. We cannot hear your voice.
Hello. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Yeah, yes. Just would like to thank again Derek for coming to Jakarta and give us his latest insights. And I think we need to do this kind of conversation a lot more to learn, from different regions. How the philanthropy sector address some of the structural challenges in their environment, in their enabling environment. I think one point that I got from Derek is that in different geography, whether it's developed or developing nations, there's always problems related to the environment. So we it's important to learn, but of course we need to look at what is workable or not in Indonesian context. So yeah, that's all. And I think also from this conversation I can see the colleagues, Indonesian colleagues, also benefit from understanding what other members have been doing. Well, thank you once again.
Thanks, Bu Santi. Oke, Mas Irfan, ya bisa menjawab tadi pertanyaan secara singkat, please.
Secara social enterprise dilakukan oleh layanan-layanan rumah zakat seperti sekolah juara, badan usaha milik masyarakat, ya klinik. Jadi secara social enterprise-nya itu dilakukan oleh layanan, rumah zakatnya melakukan aktivitas sebagai lembaga filantropi begitu. Nah, lalu bagaimana yang dilakukan oleh rumah zakat untuk menjadikan ya social enterprise ini bisa bertahan ya sesuai dengan tujuannya. Social enterprise ini pertama adalah bagi social enterprise ya tentu adalah memberikan dampak sosial yang itu dilakukan oleh social enterprise-nya, salah satunya adalah Bumas begitu. Bagi rumah zakat tentu ini adalah upaya untuk bagaimana kita bisa memperluas program-program yang lainnya dengan keterbatasan sumber daya yang ada. Jadi ini adalah upaya kita. Nah, lalu bagaimana agar social enterprise ini juga sustain ya, bertahan dan juga berkembang. Yang dilakukan oleh rumah zakat tentu ada pendampingan ya secara berkelanjutan. Ada salah satu orang yang bertugas mendampingi, melibatkan juga banyak pihak ya. Salah satunya tadi kita melibatkan inkubator, melibatkan juga para pakar untuk mendampingi ini. Lalu kita bertahap ya, ada target misalnya 3 tahun untuk kita bisa memandirikan ya, dengan setiap tahunnya mengurangi kontribusi intervensi dari dana zakat, infak, sedekah dan ditambahin wakaf. Jadi secara bertahap itu dikurangi ya, agar terjadi proses kemandirian begitu. Nah, tentu selanjutnya adalah bagaimana kita juga memperkuat ekosistemnya. Nah, salah satu tadi ya yang ditemukan di lapangan itu adalah produk dari social enterprise ini terkadang mahal. Nah, inilah yang membuat mahal. Pertama kan begini, kita perlu mengidentifikasi itu produknya bagaimana. Yang kedua adalah jalur distribusi ya. Jadi antara produksi dengan customer itu perlu didekatkan ya. Yang membuat menjadi mahal itu adalah salah satunya adalah distribusi dan juga sumber daya dalam proses produksi itu. Nah, di situ maka dengan jejaring yang dimiliki oleh rumah zakat, bentuk keberpihakan kita itu adalah melibatkan stakeholder ya untuk memperkuat itu semuanya.
Baik.
Nah, ini barangkali gambaran dari apa yang dilakukan oleh rumah zakat ya secara taktis di lapangan, dan itu kita sudah lakukan ya dari beberapa tahun ini ya. Ada yang berhasil, memang ada juga yang alhamdulillah bisa bertumbuh. Terima kasih barangkali itu.
Terima kasih banyak. Thanks so much, Pak Irfan. So I think we need to do justice for local wisdom for the prayer time, and then for body wisdom. It is almost dinner time, so I had actually to stop this. We can have overnight discussion about very interesting topics. Shortly, I'm saying that we learn from 4 organizations. So all of them actually tries to elevate sustainable impact in their organization in their own way. And then to the sector, not only to the organization, but also the sector of philanthropy. So while we are trying to seek answer on what is the enabling environment for the philanthropy sector, for the philanthropy activities, I think we already learned about several. First is the regulatory, then the tax incentive, understanding the sector, and multi-stakeholder collaboration. And then the last is, of course, the collaboration, which is very important. I'm sorry that I should stop here. To me, this is very exciting exchange and discussion. Maybe I can write a number of papers from this, and to invite CAF to learn more on Indonesia. I think Indonesia is very good laboratory on a faith-based philanthropy, and also because the sector in Indonesia has been transformed quite quick within the last decade. So I will stop here. I would like to thank everyone, to the great panelists here, Derek, Mas Tom, Santi, and Mas Irfan, and also to the Philanthropy Indonesia, Barito Foundation, and also of course CAF to support our discussion. Thank you so much. I will stop with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will be happy to moderator.
Thank you very much to our panelists, Bapak Irfan, Bu Suzanty, Bapak Tommy, and Mr. Derek, and also to Ibu Amelia for moderating this insightful discussion. My apology, but due to the limited time, we have to end this forum. However, if you would like to see today's dialogue forum, you can check it on our YouTube channel, Philanthropy Indonesia. For participants who are curious about Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia, please visit philanthropy.org.id. We welcome you all to have you join with us, inviting of all parties to collaborate in creating a wider impact by joining our membership and networks. And please stay updated with the activities of the Perhimpunan Philanthropy Indonesia through our Instagram at Philanthropy Indonesia. before we end the program, may we have a photo session first for the moderator and Pak Tommy and Mr. Derek. Can you please stand up and stay in front of the screen? Because we will have a photo session with Bu Suzanty and Bapak Ivan. Dear participant at the venue, you can please enjoy your coffee break.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my phone so that you can take a picture for me as well, but it's not, I don't have my glasses on. So yeah, thank you very much. There you go. That was easy once I knew what I was doing. Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. Come on. Oh, no, not at all.
Bu Santi, okay. One, two, three. Okay. Cheese and smile. All right, thank you. Oh, jempol Bapak Ibu. The jempol. Okay, and can we have a photo session also with the participants? Okay. Maybe the participants can please stand up and go in front of the stage to take the photo.
Ya. Tes. Ya, bagi rekan-rekan anggota semua boleh ambil tes. Ya, boleh maju ke depan untuk kita foto bersama.
Bagi Bapak Ibu, jika ada yang kehilangan barang, silakan hubungi kami. Karena kami menemukan ada ID card.
Halo. Hai. Ayo boleh. Agak merapat. 2 baris aja, boleh. We will make 3 row. Okay, 3 row. Yeah. 2 row. Mbak, boleh ini aja ikut di bawah, bisa? Bisa, Ul? Oke. Mas, minta tolong. Again. Smile. Okay, freestyle. There are 2 types of free types. Thumbs and sarangeo. Okay, thumbs. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cuan. Thank you everybody. Oh iya. Iya. Nggak tahu deh.
Bapak Ibu silakan untuk melanjutkan networking bisnisnya dan silahkan enjoy the coffee break.
Bapak, makasih.
Terima kasih.